In this video, we'll be calculating the new value after a percent of change. So let's look at an example. A cereal box says that now it contains 20% more. Originally, it came with 18.5 or 18 5/10 ounces of cereal. How much cereal does the box come with now? So we're going to look at this in a number of different ways. First, I'm going to look at this with a tape diagram, which you guys became familiar with last year. And this is just going to be a model to represent this situation and the change that happens. So this tape diagram represents the 1850. This represents the original amount of cereal in the box. And it increases by 20% more. So first and foremost, I need to find what is 20% of this 1850. Well, I know that 20% is equal to 1/5. So I'm going to split this whole into 5 equal parts. 4 lines makes 5 parts. Okay, now if I split this into 5 equal parts, I need to know how much each part is. So I'm literally dividing 18.5 divided by 5. You can use your calculator to find 18.5 divided by 5 is 3.7. So that means that each of these parts is 3.7. In other words, 20% of 1850 is 3.7. Now, if the cereal increased by 20%, then we're essentially going to add an additional part here, which is worth 3.7. So we are adding 3.7 onto 18.5, which gives us the 22 2/10 ounces as an answer. Another way we could do that is I know that 20%, I can change that to a decimal by moving the decimal place 2 places to the left. That becomes 0.2. And using that to find 20% of 18.5. So 2/10 of 18.5 is the same thing as 2/10 times 18.5. And 2/10 times 18.5 is that 3.7 again. That's the change. And then if we add that to the original amount, 18.5, that's going to give us, once again, the 22.2 ounces. And then one last way that we can use to find our new amount is I can take the percent that it's increased, add it to the original amount, which is 100%. That gives me 120%. So what I'm essentially finding is, what is 120% of 18.5? Well, 120% can be written as a decimal by moving the decimal 2 places to the left. So that's 1.2. And then I'm essentially just multiply 18.5 times 1.2, and you come up with, you got it, 22.2 ounces. So you got some choices and strategies. Let's look at another example. In this case, similar figures, but in this case, we have a price that lowers by 20%. So the price for the shirt is $18.50 once again, but you have a coupon that lowers the price by 20%. What is the price of the shirt after using the coupon? So if I try a tape diagram again, my original price is $18.5. We know that 20% is equal to 1/5. So I'm splitting this into 5 equal parts. 4 lines makes 5 parts. And each of those parts, as we found before, if I divide 18.5 divided by 5, is going to give me 3.7. Now this 3.7 represents the discount. This is how much you don't pay. So if we're taking off that 3.7, I'm going to essentially remove one of those, and what's left over is going to be my sale price, that amount which you do pay. So 18.5 minus 3.7 is going to give me my sell price of $14.80. Now, another way we could do that, we could once again find the 20%, change that to a decimal by moving it 2 places to the left. There's our 2/10. We can multiply that times the 1850, which is the 370. Again, that's the discount, what we don't pay. And instead of adding it, we're going to just subtract it from the 1850. So 1850 minus 370 will give us the 1480. So that's going to require 2 steps, finding the discount and then subtracting to find the sell price. Let's just make a note of that. Discount, and this is the sell price. You don't pay the discount, you do pay the sell price. And then one last way, so if we're not paying 20% for the shirt, that means that we are paying 20% from 100%, we are paying 80%. So rather than taking 2 steps to find our answer, we could simply find 80% of 1850. 80%, move my decimal 2 places to the left. That's going to give me 8/10 times 1850, and that's going to give me, once again, $14.80.